The question of how the Egyptians transported stones weighing tons to the pyramid on an industrial scale has been solved. Here you can find out why the methods discussed so far are unsuitable, and how the ingenious idea of transporting the stone blocks on a large scale must inevitably have come about. For centuries, scholars have been captivated by the enigma of how the ancient Egyptians managed to transport the colossal stones that formed the magnificent pyramids, monoliths that defied the imagination and weighed several tons each. These stones, each one a daunting 1.5 tons or more, could not be simply pushed, nor could they be lifted by human hands alone. The challenge was not just their immense weight. Even if every man summoned his strength, there was simply no room for enough hands to grasp the stone. A crowd of 20 men would be needed, each lifting a staggering 75 kilograms, just to inch one of these stones forward. But such a feat was not one of brute force alone. Human ingenuity had to step in where raw strength fell short. Without the aid of clever tools and techniques, methods passed down through generations, secrets perhaps lost to time, these stones would remain motionless, defying all efforts to budge them, as if anchored to the earth by invisible forces. There are speculations that wooden sledges were used to transport the stones, which the workers pulled across the ground. It is also assumed that the stones were placed on several logs and pushed and pulled by the laborers. The logs were repeatedly moved from the back to the front as they were pushed under the stone. On closer inspection, both methods proved to be feasible for demonstration purposes, but unusable on an industrial scale. Due to the strong friction on the ground, a sledge has to be pulled by a large number of workers with ropes. The maximum pulling force of one person is about 500 newtons of force, about 50 kilograms. In addition to the weight of the sledge itself, more than 40 men per ibex would certainly be needed to pull it uphill. In addition, the workers need space between them and distance from the sledge to be able to pull effectively. The method is enormously labor-intensive, error-prone, slow, and inefficient. It barely manages 3 million stones in 20 years. That would be more than 400 ibexes per day, i.e., at least 100 teams of 40 men who have to manage to get a stone into place every 3 hours, toil for 12 hours, and hardly ever make mistakes. The use of round timbers reduces the frictional resistance considerably, but handling the round timbers is more complex. In addition, the stone and road must be extremely smooth, because if they are uneven, the logs will remain under the stone and shift uncontrollably, or roll into hollows and lose contact with the stone. There must be no coarse dirt or stones in the track, otherwise the bars will get stuck immediately. In addition, a high degree of precision is required in the production of the logs, as the Egyptians would not have been able to produce logs in the same way as we can buy them in DIY stores today. There was no lathe yet. If the logs are not properly round and do not have exactly the same diameter everywhere, they will also get stuck or slip. The two methods mentioned therefore work for demonstration purposes, but not on an industrial scale. Now, there is no concrete indication of the method that was used, as the Egyptians left no concrete records here, and from the fact that no wheels are shown in the records left behind at this time, researchers conclude that the wheel had not yet been invented. So I have a theory as to how the Egyptians moved the stones without the use of a lot of labor and were able to move them around tight corners. They didn't need to know how to use a wheel, but the method could certainly be seen as a precursor to the wheel. The observation that round timbers could be rolled could have led to the idea of making the stone blocks rounder so that they could be rolled. And to achieve this, the Egyptians probably first added additional wooden planks to the flat sides of the stones and wrapped ropes around the stones with the planks to fix them in place and make them even rounder. The stones can now be rolled more easily as the flat sides no longer interfere. The excessive wear and tear on the ropes and the slippage of the wood would be a problem here, and the shape is not even enough so that the stone does not run straight. The Egyptians will therefore have developed this method further. The Egyptians retained the method itself, but on an industrial scale they needed tools that would last longer and wear less. In my imagination, instead of randomly tying wooden pieces to the flat sides, it makes sense to prepare 4 stable wooden molds. Let's call them rolling segments, which together form the round shape and are very suitable for rolling the stone blocks. The wooden molds themselves are again secured with ropes, but this time they lie in grooves prepared for this purpose, and therefore hardly wear out. As before, the best leverage can be used in conjunction with ropes, and these stones can now be easily pulled by a few workers and are also much more maneuverable. And because you can keep a large opening in the center of the rolling segments, you can rewind the rope at any time and increase the relative length of the rope again. Using rods, which workers can insert into the recesses in the sides of the rolling segments prepared for this purpose, the stones can either be secured against rolling away on the slope, moved around a bend, or moved over an obstacle. And again, the lever laws can make life easier for the operators. This would make it possible to load and unload ships, delivering the stones via planks, which would otherwise hardly be possible with the other methods. And since the Egyptians already had knowledge of metal, one could imagine that the stones were transported up the steep pyramid with ropes pulled over rounded metal end pieces. So there is no need for a huge ramp, just a wooden track directly on top of the pyramid and enough human traction on the other side of the building site. For maneuvering, the workers use the poles directly on the stones, which are inserted into the rolling segments. The question that now arises is how to find out if it was really like this. Finding a rolling segment could be a clue, but whether someone has already noticed it would have to be checked. In any case, the realization of the construction with 3 million stones weighing an average of 2.5 tons would still be an enormous task, but at least it is a little more credible than the other theories. That's it for now. Thank you so much for your interest. I truly appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to welcoming you back to my channel in the future. Take care and see you next time.
yWild.